All these rumors are fun to talk about, and Red Bull hasn't blown up yet.
Alex Albon's birthday, and his gift, Logan Sargent's car.
With the drain covers, why is this such a big issue?
That's what I'm saying. Alonso more and more is looking like Aaron Rodgers.
He's geriatric. We just kind of want him for merit mark.
You cannot win a constructor's battle when your second driver is not performing.
Grab your popcorn, folks. Things are getting crazy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina, and I'm here with Steven and Tristan. Jason couldn't be here with us, but that is A-okay. I think we talked about it very briefly the last time. I am now home. We're all home for summer. And timings are a bit hectic when you're all working different jobs at different times, and you have an 8-hour time difference for some of us. So we're working on it. That is also why this is slightly late, but that is A-okay because it was the greatest weekend in motorsports, and there is a lot to talk about.
Or was it?
Very true.
Before we get into that, though, quick headline. Just announced Australia will be the season opener for 2026. Thoughts?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, just judging on what we had this year in our season opener. I mean, that's the reason why, was the reason why Oscar was number 2 in the championship, not number 1, but no. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's going to be a good test for these guys. I mean, I know you said that it doesn't tell you much car-wise, but...
It doesn't. I mean, also this year was a little weird because it rained that whole weekend, so... I mean, it helped elevate that day or weekend a little bit by giving it a little bit more excitement, but we've been fortunate with 2 Australian Grand Prix in a row that have been exciting in some way. Max blowing up 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
That was it was last year, and then
Yeah,
the year before, I remember. Yes, year before I was 95% sure. I could be wrong. Maybe that was 2 years ago, but I think I was in Barcelona.
2023.
And it was. Yes, it was. It was 2023. I was in Barcelona, and I was watching the race at like 5 in the morning because, of course, Australia is at a god-awful time for everyone. And there was the multiple red flag safety cars. Sainz got a penalty. The Alpines crashed into each other. So, like, we've had...
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I really I remember Albon going straight on into, like, a wall. So, I really like Australia. I think it's a great racetrack. I really like the layout, and I think they've made positive changes in the last couple years, so that's nice. My only gripe with Australia is, like you said, I mentioned it off camera earlier, is it doesn't tell you anything. Like, it's like as if we were to start with, I mean, not to this extreme, but like start with Monaco. Like, there's other racetracks where I feel like there's more different types of corners. Like, Barcelona has high speed, low speed, middle speed corners. You can analyze like there's sometimes they do with the graphics, or you can just look at like the onboards and stuff, who's faster where, and get a real sense of like, okay, Red Bull's gonna be good at the high speed tracks this year and stuff like that. Whereas in Australia, I feel like I can't get anything out of it. Like, this is where we're at relatively, but like, where are we really at? Yeah. So in a way, I feel like that's good for F1 though, because that keeps you coming for the second one at least.
I mean,
you're not like a
testing,
fan.
to get, what the cars are like, at least from a team perspective. But
and also just on a Lady Luck point of view, I mean, we've had exciting Grand Prix in a row now that, not necessarily as a byfactor of Australia being an exciting track, but it just has worked out that way. So you can just cross your fingers and hope for the same next year, and just kind of roll with the punches from there, and hopefully we'll have a good season opener like we have the past couple years there again next year.
Yeah.
And new cars.
That's my philosophy.
We'll have new cars anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we get in the future. I think there's also an element of like every time we have rookies, some of the excitement from this year, for example, yes, it had to do with the rain, but like the rookies are coming in fresh. You're learning this new car, especially like next year with like a new gen of car that they're learning. All the drivers are kind of starting from the same level. So in a way. And so I think there's also that element of like, you're learning this new car at a track that's like, you get it wrong. And obviously it's not as extreme as like Monaco or like Baku where there's walls, but it's easy-ish to make a mistake and like go off into a gravel or runoff. And that's the end of your race. You get beached. But also very prone to rain and like different weather. So that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm happy about it. Let's move into what we call the greatest day in motorsports. Obviously, you have Monaco in, I guess, the morning for Americans. And then you
Yep.
have the 500 and the Coke 600. I, unfortunately, did not get to watch all of it.
I was gonna
but
say
I do,
it's the greatest day in
Neither did
motorsports
I.
for Americans.
For Americans.
sure.
Yeah.
Because it works out
Because-
great for us. Monaco was 9 a.m., 8 a.m. I think. Indy 500 was at noon, and then Coke 600 I think was around 5 o'clock. If I had to
Yeah.
guess.
Five
So it
or
works out
six.
great for us. The rest of the world,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said for Americans, because I think also, well, that and there's like NASCAR is more popular in the States and stuff, but
yeah.
it's interesting. There's a lot of like, I feel like in the I don't feel like, I know the 500 is like unique in that the people that race the 500 don't always race the full Indy season. There are obviously some people that do, but a lot of them don't. And so you see some familiar faces, you see some F1 faces, and it's just like, it's so fascinating. And like the things that go
Yeah.
wrong at the 500 could only go wrong at the 500.
Yep.
Like tell me why Robert Schwartzman went bowling. Like literally went bowling with people. Like he just goes into the pits and like almost takes people out, like or did take people out. So I don't know. There was just some moments where it's like, I don't want to call them highlights because I feel like they're disasters, but they make for entertaining day. So
That whole race kind of shapes up to be a disaster, but controlled disaster, I guess, in one way,
controlled
shape,
chaos.
or form. I mean, if we want to talk about it briefly, the ending was kind of lame. I think Marcus Ericsson drastically messed up multiple times, which sucks because the way the draft works at Indy, that number 2 car is the only one that can really make that move to pass on the leader. Like, the guy in third kind of has to wait for the second guy to do something for him to do something. So Marcus screwed it up for everybody. Alex Palou went and sailed his way into an Indy 500 win. Pato's back and forth cursing himself because he's like, damn it. God, everyone's yelling at Marcus because he didn't do anything. So, but it's a cool race. I mean, again, it's the largest spectator event in the world. So you got 300,000 seats plus the Snake Pit in the middle, which is having an EDM concert at the same time. I don't know if you guys saw the video of the helicopters that the military flew low and over the track.
Sick.
I mean, I'm jealous of Jason. He was there. So I'm sure he'll give us a rundown on that next week and tell us all about how his weekend was. But Indy's cool. Charlotte was cool. Obviously, we can talk about Larson messing up both of those races. This is a Formula One podcast, so we have reason to defend Max Verstappen today and his legacy. I love Kyle Larson, but holy crap, did he suck really bad last weekend.
Yeah, it's just a snowball effect for that guy, unfortunately.
Before I woke up and saw what happened for him at the 600 and like not like now knowing that like he did terribly, I was really confused when Jason sent me a post and it was like 1,100 miles or whatever, and then all of the comments under Kyle Larson's post, like that was his post, and all of the comments are Max Verstappen gifts, like all of them.
Yep.
In fact, the comments are now limited, so like nobody else can comment because it's just Max Verstappen gifts. And I was thinking to myself, like, but this isn't even like, it's not even like Max won Monaco and Kyle like did nothing. It's like Kyle had such a bad weekend that 4th in Monaco is enough for Max. So I don't know. I think it's
the race.
I think it's funny that we literally just talked about it last week, and Steven even texted, Marina having beef with a NASCAR driver was not on my 2025 bingo card. I thought that was hilarious. I was dying laughing.
Pretty good.
But it's like, I don't know. I hate him. I shouldn't hate him. Hate's a strong word, but like he's just so annoying.
Hate him. I
dislike him.
Yeah, I don't know. I respect him. If that makes any condolences. I don't know. Like this weekend doesn't disprove that he's not an amazing race car driver, in my opinion.
No.
I don't understand the downshifting into the turn while accelerating. A little crazy, but again, it's only his second race ever in an Indy car in general. So I mean, and it's Indy. I understand you have weeks of practice, but still, man, like I don't know. I work a job and work in a job for like 8 years and I still screw up things. You know, I mean, it happens. But I don't know. So I sit here saying I don't think I think he deserves all the hate. I think that's why I said at the beginning of the podcast before we were talking. He definitely deserves the hate because it's such a terrible weekend for how hyped it was. But like, I guess that's what it is. So much hype went into this weekend, just like last year, just for DNF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, yeah.
I think there's two parts to it. There's the fact that, again, there's so much publicity on him because he was doing the double, and that both of them went so terribly wrong. But also the fact that, like, everyone you're pitting Kyle Larson, again, like you said, not a bad driver, really good driver, actually, but just someone who has been pitted against, whether that's by his own comments, which I think is most of it, but also by the media, against someone who, like, I compare Lando to Max. It's someone who rarely makes mistakes. So when you talk about a weekend where he double DNFs in 2 different races, and then you're comparing it to Max, it's like, Max would never do that. In fact, Max hasn't DNF'd of his own accord in a long time, sprint excluded. But so it's interesting.
It is.
100%.
It is.
It's interesting, but I have on here the Weenie 500. I don't exactly know what it is you would like to talk about in that
I will
regard.
briefly mention the Weenie. If Jason was here, he'd want to talk about the Weenie 500. I'm willing to bet he saw it live. But basically, Oscar Mayer wieners. Everybody knows the Weenie mobiles. Oscar Mayer lined them up in double file, I believe, at Indianapolis this past weekend. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. And they had 6 of them, 6 or 5. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. But they raced them around Indy at a crisp 60 miles per hour each. Took them about 30 minutes to get around the track. And there was a photo finish, which was definitely staged, but it was still pretty cool.
I was going to say.
Yeah, and the whole thing was staged, but it's freaking Wienermobiles riding around Indy. It's cool as hell.
True.
I had a clip because Pat McAfee was doing his like live show when it was happening. And one of his guys were like, "Oh yeah, this is happening. Let's put it on." And they put it on, and they had it muted at first, so like everyone was like, you know how the camera will pan when they're doing the national anthem or something like that? It'll show the crowd. And they're like, "Oh, the national anthem! Everyone get up! Everyone get up!" And they were like this with their hands on their chest. And they turned the audio on finally, and the guy was singing the Oscar Mayer like wiener like theme song or something like that. We all started cackling. I'll send it to you guys after the show. I think some people might know what I'm talking about, but it was cool. Makes the weekend more fun. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
From an authenticity standpoint, I just would have liked it to not have been staged, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just one of those
so slow. Slow.
That's what I'm saying. Just take off the restrictors for one race, see what happens.
There was a bet. You could actually bet on the race.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because, I was watching it. I was like, I don't remember who won exactly, but I know the guy who was in second had this stupid run.
Yeah,
like,
right.
No way that's real.
No, he's getting DRS right on the straightaway. Yeah, ain't no way. How does a waiter get DRS?
They open the back door.
It's pure American chaos. Like it's the epitome of like American stupidity. Like that is
Americana,
what we do.
Baby.
Like
it's like we race monster trucks around Indy. Like
my dad was talking about when the 500 during the delay, they kept flashing to the pit, obviously, where they were like having a full on like basically concert in like the middle of the track. And it's like my dad was like, he looks at me and goes, if there's one thing Americans know how to do, it's events, it's parties. It's like the entertainment aspect will always be there. Like even if the Weenie 500 was staged, it was funny and it was entertaining and people enjoyed it, and we're sitting here 2 days later talking about it. So it's like,
did y'all see the video of Gronk like sideline reporting?
What was that?
This video of Gronk sideline reporting.
No, he was there?
Yeah! This is the greatest party of all time. This is the greatest sport of all time. This is amazing.
Figures Gronk follows Brady to the 500, bro.
Tom Brady was in the 2-seater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's. I guess who also did a 2-seater this weekend? Katie Feeney.
Yep.
Who knows nothing? I hate to be a shit talker. Fuck, because she's alumni with us. But still. She knows nothing about IndyCar, and she got invited.
It's annoying. It's annoying.
Damn it.
Also, Michael Strahan drove the big car.
We all do. All the influencers ever. I mean, it's every single one of them. I get it. I respect her, though. It's her career. She's done a great job with it. But, man,
It's funny that we've gotten to the point where like we're the old heads who are like, oh, look at these youngins.
We
doing
are. We're
their
like the Muppets
PR
that are up in the
stunts."
little, the old two
Yeah,
Muppets.
the peanut gallery.
Speak for
Yeah, the peanut
yourself.
gallery.
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
Older, y'all grandparents over there.
This is true.
Yeah, respect you elders.
I think there's like we gripe about it as I feel like I wear 3 hats when I like look at stuff like Katie Feeney. It's like the first one is as a fan, I hate it. Like send someone there that's actually going to enhance the sport in some way, like that knows something about it, a content creator or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side where it's like I have from like a PR perspective, it makes total sense to send Katie Feeney the 500 because she's hitting an audience that I don't hit with the 500 usually. It's not your motorsports fans that are already like subscribed and already in the know about the 500. She's bringing another audience that isn't in the know about the 500. So I get it. And like, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, why? Like, send someone else, anyone else. And that applies for everything, not just Katie Feeney at the 500, but like Miami, Vegas, all of those big Grand Prix where you see a bunch of celebrities at for F1, same thing. So
that's true. That's true. I see that perspective. That's a good point of view. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess like my problem is if you don't try anything, I guess, then obviously you'll never hit that audience. But like, will that audience catch on to like wanting to look at the watch the Indy 500? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you got to try. That's what I was saying. It's like it's worth trying if you want to expand your horizons, I guess. So.
And I think too for them, there's no expense. Like I'm sure they paid her something, but it's likely a lot of the stuff.
Oh, she definitely got paid. She absolutely got paid. You ever seen what she charges? Go take a look sometime. It's ludicrous.
No, I know. But my point being, a lot of the times when it's an event, it depends on the scale of the influencer you're hiring. But a lot of times when it's an event, you can pay them a lot less and just give them free tickets, free VIP, like for Miami, free VIP passes. You don't have to pay them. Like a lot of people that go to Miami as influencers don't get paid. They just get free paddock passes, which is a lot more than they would normally get paid for some of them, or equivalent, or even less. But you get the experience and you expand your audience and whatnot. It's a win-win for everybody. So not specifically for her in the 500, but in general, for event purposes, I think influencers make sense because you're not dishing out a bunch of money for them to sponsor. You're just showing up. So
that's fair. It's a fair point of view.
Anyways,
I don't know. I think all of us are just grumble because we all wish we could have went.
It's true.
Well, Jason was there, so he'll
Jason
fill us
was
in
there.
On the team.
He'll give us the intel when he gets
the
it.
intel. Let's talk F1 because at the end of the day, this is an F1 podcast, so we got to get back to Monaco.
Indeed it is.
Very true.
Monaco is the one place where I will legitimately watch all of free practice like this. Because someone will always crash. And I don't know if I sent this in the group chat. I sent it to one of you, but I don't know if it was one person or the group chat. But I was talking to Christina, and me and Christina were texting about the fact that during FP1, everyone was so behaved. They were like no crashes, everybody was chilling, like we're all great. And then FP2 comes out and like 2 minutes in and we're already have a crash. And I was joking about them being well behaved just for them to come back 5 minutes later and not be behaved. But I thought it was funny, and I enjoy free practice. I think it's interesting to look at the turnarounds because if you look at practice, like Max for practice was like on the podium for sure. But then all of a sudden, like the McLaren turned it on, and Oscar put a lap together, and it's over in terms of qualifying.
Did Leclerc crash in free practice 1, or am I wrong? Did he crash or did he just like? I can't remember.
Stroll happened.
Stroll happened.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Stroll was like,
because I swear to God, my first piece of news from the weekend was seeing a headline like Leclerc hit the wall in free practice 1 or something like that.
He didn't hit the wall. He got hit by Stroll. Well, he hit Stroll.
Oh, that's what it was.
Like,
yes.
Stroll was on the inside, letting another car through. And then he comes back to the racing line just as Charles is coming, and Charles couldn't brake in time. So he goes straight into Stroll. Now, Stroll got a penalty for it, which I think is really funny because it's Lance Stroll, and he was starting at the back anyways. So, figures. But
big
I thought
time
that
figures.
was funny.
Yeah.
It would have been
Wasn't
more on
him
the
and
pony
Barron.
if he got like a reverse pony. He had to start from the front, feel like Max or something.
That the one race in the year where Lance Stroll wouldn't drop like a rock in the race would have been Monaco.
Literally.
It's
Sure.
the one place where reverse grid would like actually work because the reverse
Yeah.
would actually stick.
Though you would
So-
have so many people pulling a George Russell that we saw this weekend.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
would see that like every corner.
Every
Every-
single one. Without fault.
Mhm.
We'll talk
And it wouldn't
about
matter
it.
because everyone do it.
He's such a G. George Russell,
Mhm.
it was tier 1 George Russell this weekend in terms of the comments.
Absolutely.
I didn't need to know that George Russell does not wear underwear under his race suit. I didn't need to know that, but he told us in an
That's-
interview.
I didn't see that.
Interesting.
I'm not as
Yeah.
in tune with the media. Holy shit.
So, like, that's why I'm saying, like,
Man, I
It's
don't
gotta
like
be
that at
crazy.
there's
all.
so many things. There were so many things this weekend with George where I was like, did you say that? Or,
Hey, Mercedes is just
John?
making George delusional. That's all that's happening.
Literally.
oh,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's hilarious.
Mhm.
But speaking of quali, it's just Monaco qualifying is electric. I mean, like,
It is.
the first part of qualifying was kind of like to be expected in a
Mhm.
way. Like,
Yeah.
I knew who was going out for the most part.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was Kimi Antonelli's crash. I feel
Yeah.
like it makes sense. Rookie 18-year-old kid driving around Monaco. Of course, there's gonna be a crash, but also like
Yeah.
he was
It's
doing so
Kimi.
well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, this is his first time racing in Monaco, essentially. So,
Well, did he race? No.
or
Was
no?
it F2 last year? It was between him and
he raced F2 last year
Ollie
Okay.
Behrman were the ones that like were head to head for the win, I think, right?
in F2. They were teammates.
Yeah. Am I
don't think
wrong?
last year?
I know
Maybe.
that.
Lima was really good last year at Monaco.
No, they were really Monaco. Maybe they were really bad on the season.
I knew for the season they weren't good, but I thought Monaco they had it dialed in. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. You
I
could be
guess
right.
the
I really don't remember.
the discipline changes. Obviously, the car's going so much faster, especially in a track like Monaco. Speed actually is your worst enemy. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Ironic.
The
yeah,
average speed around Monaco is like, was it one? Was Lando's like 106?
yeah, but that's
that-
like balls to the wall in a place like that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, compare that to the average speed on like a normal track. It's like
Yeah.
plus 200. It's
I'm
like
willing
Yeah.
to bet those guys are more comfortable going like, I don't know, like 190 on like the Monza straight than they are like going
yeah.
85 into any corner in Monaco. You know,
well, during practice, there's times where like Max would take that chicane at like 40 miles per hour.
yeah,
Like that's
Yep.
how much they're braking. And so like obviously it's not that quite that slow during qualifying. They go a little quicker than that. But like realistically, they're not going that much quicker. And like
Yeah.
Liam Lawson was talking about it after the race. He goes, "You wouldn't believe how hard it is to go slower around Monaco." Because and we'll talk
Yeah.
about when we get to the race, but like they were playing the team game of like backing each other up. And so they had to like lift off the gas. And Alex is like, "I'm going to crash." The whole time, Liam, Alex, like they were
Yeah.
talking about it after. It's like, because then you get to a point where like you're pushing, you stop pushing, then all of a sudden he's like push again. You're like, okay, well, how do I go fast now? So like they were like, I don't get it. Like it's so tough.
Rewatching the first
So-
lap of the race, watching the hotel hairpin, seeing the guys from 10th on back get bunched up and are literally going like 5 miles per hour into the corner because they can't go any faster because it's
Yeah.
that slow is crazy.
I love
It's
how
like a
like
traffic jam.
almost the one
Yeah.
normal overtake of the year at Monaco was Kimi Antonelli and Gabriel Bortolesso on lap 1, and then Gabriel Bortolesso just ends up straight in the wall.
Yeah.
And he
Well, wait.
pulled it out, and he was able to like
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like, well, first of all, I was like, Gabby, what are you doing, Gabby? When I saw him take the overtake on Kimi, I was like, oh no. Like before, I thought it was gonna go so horribly wrong, but then he pulled it off. But then he went around. He didn't like hold the position. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So-
tried.
Am I wrong? Did somebody get an overtake on the last lap of the race? What was it? Wasn't it? Didn't Lance Stroll pass Hulkenberg on like the last lap?
Oh, I don't know.
I swear to
Someone
God.
might have.
I gotta find
I don't think it was
that.
Hulkenberg. Maybe it was the other way around.
It might have been Bortoletto. I swear it was the Sauber that got passed. Hold on.
Maybe it was
It was-
Stroll and Hulkenberg because Tsunoda had to
Oh
pit.
yeah. Wait, yeah,
I
Lance
think it
Stroll and
was Stroll
Hulkenberg.
and
It was
Hulkenberg.
it was at the hairpin turn. I forget the name of it. The one where Leclerc crashed years ago and
Yeah.
Pierre crashed this year. Yeah, Stroll did a legitimate overtake in that corner.
I guarantee you, and they didn't even show it on the broadcast.
No.
You had to watch the highlights or seen onboard footage of him. What's funny to me though is that I guarantee he's sitting there in an Aston Martin's not going to score points. He's sitting there and he goes, "Well, 15th or 16th. There's no jeopardy in trying it. If I fuck up, then it's the last lap. It doesn't matter. My daddy's just going to pay for a new car.
Wreck his car, though. I mean,
yeah, but he's got money. That's not the least of his problem. It's I'm just going to send it and see what happens and hold it off. But that's part of the problem I think around Monaco. It's not necessarily that you 100% can't overtake. It's that you 95% can overtake, and that 5% is not worth the risk. You'd rather just stick it to where you're at if you're fourth, than try and go third and end up in the wall and then lose all those points. So it's it's whatever.
That is true. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
I, for one, can admit that Lando had a really stellar lap. I don't usually give props to Lando, but he had a really good lap for qualifying.
Not just a good lap. He had the best lap of all time.
Number one lap.
Of all time. Yeah. Well, he did take pole, so it is the number one lap, but he also set the lap record. Props to him.
I was just about to look that up. I didn't realize that was the lap record.
He's the first driver in F1 history to get below 110 in Monaco.
Wow.
Yeah, in Monaco.
I gotta look this up. I actually have not seen the lap itself. So I think I'm going to watch that.
Well, that's the funny thing. It's not the greatest lap, if we're being truly honest.
That lap had mistakes.
It
did.
That
was crazy. Yeah. But I think all of their laps had mistakes. Low-key, Charles was, mini impeded by Max. He came up on Max at, completely the wrong time on his last lap. Max had traffic on his last lap as well. Made some mistakes in, the beginning. And, if you watch the onboard, Charles is so far back compared to Lando going through the first sector. But then second sector, they're neck and neck. Charles is ahead barely. And that last sector made the difference. So it was that last corner every time. During the race and during qualifying. That last corner from the Clarence. The way they stick it through that last corner, I've never seen anything like it. It's
right.
Yeah.
You're riding the floor.
So you're telling me, as I watch this lap, wait for the last corner and he's going to nail it?
Yeah, he nails it.
Yeah, it's just the way he just takes the corner and grips up and just
the only mistake I can see so far is the hotel corner. He kind of, I don't know, he didn't get the line right, in my opinion. So far, it looks pretty good, though. Obviously,
it was a pole lap. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying,
no, yeah. But I'm just
being
confused.
The first driver to go 110, it wasn't an impeccable, perfect lap.
Right.
And same with Charles was P2, but his lap was not fantastic. It wasn't perfect. That's what I think is interesting. Is Monaco is not about not making mistakes in qualifying. It's about who can make the least amount of mistakes. And costly mistakes too. Because it's so easy to lose a 10th or 2 around Monaco with a stupid braking mistake or whatever. It's something in the tunnel or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
he just barely got below 110. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Inching it.
No, credit where credit's due for Lando. He got what needed to be done this weekend. So no mistakes. Marina, your prediction did not come correct. Did not happen.
Nope. It almost did. We could talk about it.
That is true with the lockup.
Austin Piastri in the cool down room was man, I thought 100% you were in the wall. And Lando turns around and he goes, me too.
Wow.
But I thought so too. I saw the lockup, but here's the thing, right? So Steven knows because he watches with me. I always have my phone on Max's onboard. And this time I was maybe 5 seconds ahead on Max's onboard compared to the TV. And so I'm watching on the TV, but then as soon as the lights are going out, I looked on my phone and I saw the lockup from Max's point of view, and I didn't see it as an overall, from the start. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's over. He's in the wall. Max is going through. Max had a great launch, and then the second part of that, Oscar took it. But it was phenomenal. It was a great launch, and then I was oh, come on.
Literally.
So he saved it just barely.
Yeah.
So
that was Leclerc's only chance at winning that race, to be fair. So
Yeah.
Charles had a
They were too
hell of
close
an
on
entry into
pace.
T1.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why Lando locked up, because he had to hit those brakes so hard because Charles was coming so hard.
Charles was coming so hard on the inside.
Yeah.
That Lando had to take the outside, and it forced him to brake a little later. It's not. I doubt it was where he wanted to go, but it was kind of where he got forced. And it's like it's exactly what props to them and props to Lando for sure about they tried it, but they tried it clean. Like we didn't have a major red flag because of it. Because we were talking about it before the podcast. F2 there was a 10-car pileup in turn 1.
Oh my god!
And
Porsche,
in the Porsche supercar race, there was an 8-car pileup, and then their race turned into 4 minutes because they ran out of time because of these giant pileups, and then you end up having to move cars and stuff like that. And it's for example, in the F2 race, the driver who finished P2 did not start on the line. He was supposed to start 5th. His car didn't start for the formation lap. He was wheeled back into the pits. He started from the pits, and then because of the pileup, because they didn't get through the first sector, they start from the original order, and so he starts. I think he started 3rd or something, or 2nd in the restart. So it was he just got lucky as hell. That's kind of how you have to get lucky around Monaco, or you have to just
sometimes
wait for
it's better to start in the pit lane.
I mean, it's a city of gambling, man. I mean, you just gotta get lucky and hope Lady Luck smiles on you.
No,
there
for
is.
real.
I will say, it kind of reminded me of a fun fact about actually the NASCAR race this weekend, the Coke 600. So Ross Chastain won the race. He started in dead last. He started 40th, and he won.
That's crazy.
It's the first time that's happened naturally, meaning, I forget exactly what the rule, the way it was worded, but it's the first time it's happened naturally since 1972, and the last person to do it was Richard Petty.
Of course.
So
yeah,
it's pretty cool. Pretty cool for 600 miles of racing. To start last and end up first, it's probably your best bet. Is what's it called? A longer race because it helps you out, I guess. But still, that reminded me of a fun fact. Just based on what you were saying with starting the pit lane and whatnot. But
no,
you know what would be cool, since we're talking about starting the pit lane? What if we had a Le Mans start at Monaco?
Oh,
you know what I mean? We'll have all the cars, and you race to get in the car and just drive
run
off
to your
from
car.
there.
I mean, this brings up a point. Well, we can talk about it now before we can kind of continue with the race. Because, I mean, obviously the race was at best. Even with the new mandatory 2-stop rule, it didn't change much. I mean, the race
I'd argue it made it worse.
I think it made the racing stay the same. It just made the overall entertainment factor for some people worse, for some people better. For me, someone who for the average fan, it made it worse. But for me, for someone who was I was watching the timing screens, I had my stuff on because obviously Monaco is boring, so you have to entertain yourself with all the engineering stuff and the strategy behind it. That part was really interesting to me because people figuring out when they were going to pit was fascinating. So from that perspective, I thought it was fascinating. But not from a racing perspective. From the racing was god awful, and it didn't help because of the pit stops. It just made everybody go slower so they could back each other up and create those gaps. So it's kind of a mix.
My problem is, yes, it worked for this race overall, to your point, but now that everyone's figured it out, what are you gonna do next year?
This is what I was going to say. So there have been some ideas thrown out there that I think are quite interesting. Firstly, Max wants to go Mario Kart racing. He suggested bananas. George wants the ability to have a button that you can only press once in the weekend that's either during qualifying or the race that turns on the sprinklers so you can ruin someone else's lap, which I also found fascinating. But some people, real concerned citizens or fans, they were talking about potentially, instead of having a race in Monaco, doing a double qualifying. You get points for the first qualifying, you get points for the second. Instead of getting 25 points, you get 12 on one day and 13 on Sunday. Whatever. It's tough because you don't want to ruin the sport. And there are certain rules and guidelines that we have, and at the end of the day, it's racing. It's not qualifying. That's not the name of the game.
Yeah, but the ability of Monaco's strength, unfortunately, is not with a race right now. So that's exactly why I see the point and the validity in the qualifying sessions, because those cars perform magnificently when they're on their own and they're allowed to do their own thing. Like, it's beautiful. But they're piss poor when they all race one another. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think my vote, because next year the cars are going to get a little smaller, would be to, like, try and figure something out to where we're not doing the 2 pit stops, but we're still, like, a semblance of normalcy, let's say, and then try and figure it out for 27. Because, like, the cars are getting smaller. And fundamentally, like, I think that's what makes F2 okay, is, like, you have the 2 parts of F2. The first part is, not to offend anyone in F2, but, like, they're not as good as F1. They're still learning. They're still babies.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier as a rookie or as a baby to make mistakes around a track like Monaco. It's just as simple as that. I'm not calling anybody bad, but, like, it's the reality of the situation. So you
That's
have
why
that
sometimes
part.
Xfinity
We
Series
talked
races
about
are better than
this.
Cup Series races.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So-
college series. That's why college football is sometimes more entertaining than the NFL's, because they make mistakes. They're more human. They're like us.
Yeah. And just
how
so
it's
you
relatable.
have more mistakes like that in college football, you have more red flags and more safety cars around Monaco, which, like, the winner, Jack Crawford, an American, he was 4th, and he just happened to be, like, right by the pit entry as soon as the safety car came out instead of the virtual safety car, and he pitted. And that's how he won. So it's like you get lucky when you have more things going on with red flags and safety cars, but also those cars are a little bit smaller. So it is a little easier. There are a couple places around Monaco that if you really want to send it, and if you really have the advantage, you don't have to have the 3-4 second advantage that people have. You have to have an F1 to overtake. You've got to have maybe 2 seconds in F2.
Yeah.
So I think as the cars get smaller a little bit in F1, you might see more overtaking. But fundamentally, like I said, it's just not about the racing in Monaco.
No.
If I was
The thing
really
I'll
rich,
say
I'd go to
is-
Monaco qualifying, and then I'd fly over to Indy to go to 500. Because fundamentally, like, that's Saturdays where it's at in Monaco. So
That's true.
It
It's
would
actually
be cool if Monaco had Joker lap. I think that would be great.
Oh, Joker lap. Huh.
I think that would
Where
be
would
cool.
you do it?
explain the concept of a Joker lap for
Basically,
viewers who don't know.
it's popular in rallycross.
Yeah.
You're given an alternate line to take.
A slower line.
Yeah, you have to take it 1 lap usually.
It's 1 lap of the feature race. Yep.
Yeah. So do the same thing in Monaco. Just have an alternate slower line that you have to take once during the race.
Interesting.
It's maybe you could do it out of the tunnel turn. You know how instead of going straight, they have to take the little hairpin there?
Yeah.
I guess maybe the opposite would be you have to take the hairpin as your Joker, and then normally you just go straight.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like that.
And then maybe not just once in the race, because I think that'd be too few. Maybe for every pit stop you make, you have to take it once. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
an
what I was
idea.
thinking
It's a good
too.
idea, Steven, because
It
you
is.
got to use the track to its strengths, and I mean that would make it slightly more interesting. Because it depends on, because then everyone's going to be practicing that corner the whole weekend, trying to get it the fastest they can through there.
Right.
But then again, does it take away enough time to make gaps more interesting? I don't know.
I think it depends
That's
on where
a
it is.
good idea, though. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because
Well, thank
It's
you.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I think it's something like that. It's like a Monaco. It's another one of those like 2-stop mandatory things where it would be like it's a Monaco exclusive rule. It's finding something that's gonna make it more interesting. But I
wouldn't be
like,
opposed to having it on every track. That'd be kind of interesting.
but also like being careful. That's like we're playing with a sport, so it's like you've got to kind of like watch like how far you go. Like obviously you can't go Mario Kart and have bananas. Like, and that's not to say that's that's a pure example where it's like you're playing within a certain box. But I think that's kind of like what the FIA is going to have to do over the course of this year is like figure out what they're going to do for next year.
Right.
You know,
Because
the
I don't
thing I
think it
find
can exist,
interesting,
like realistically.
I did hear listening to the F1 Nation podcast, shout out them yesterday, that actually last year, I think it was last winter, they said teams were presented 4 options to change the Monaco Grand Prix. And this year, and what they ended up voting on was the mandatory 2-stop for this year.
Okay.
Do you know what the other options were? because I don't remember off the top of my head. I
Yeah,
remember
wouldn't
hearing
say.
about
Cards
that.
close to their chest because it could be the rules for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So
But
I mean,
I
there's
remember
discussions
hearing
being had.
about the options because they did vote. I remember obviously they voted, so it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's like maybe the lesser of 4 evils.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
To your point, I'd be very interested to know what the other 3 options were. Because I mean,
have
if you
I don't
because
know.
like not to say that the 2-stop mandatory thing was bad, but it's just like if that was the voted on option, what were the other 3? You know?
I
Yeah,
think that was
right?
probably the least radical option. Like that was the
Yes,
easy
that's
option.
yeah.
That was
Probably.
definitely like out of the 4, that was definitely probably like the most sane option. The
That's what I
easiest
was gonna
one to
say. Is like I think
execute.
it's the easiest for the teams to adapt to. Probably it's the easiest one to become
Yeah.
strategy. Like So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of strategy, I will say huge shout out to RB because they were where it's at when it came to strategy. I think they executed the perfect strategy. Like like Racing Bulls, no notes. You did fantastic. There was nothing they could have done differently. They had Liam backup pack for Isaac, and then twice Isaac got 2 free pit stops within like 5 laps of each other, and then again with Liam got the same thing, and that kind of created like a run-on effect. Like everyone got that then, right? Like Alex did it for Carlos and vice versa. What I don't get is why the Mercedes didn't do it, because there was a joke. I genuinely don't know if this was Toto Wolff being sarcastic or realistic, because the way the race happened for them, it was like I'm like 95% sure he was joking. He was like, we didn't even realize we had to do 2 stops until lap 60.
Yeah.
Like obviously they did.
It's
He's joking.
possible. I don't
It's
know.
possible, but I'm pretty sure he's like joking. He's being sarcastic.
he's gotta be joking.
I hope
point
so
being,
for
like,
his sake, but
they were so bad that I would consider it being a reality, because like I don't understand what they were doing. They were out of the point. They didn't make any moves. They didn't pit differently. They put both their drivers on the same strategy. Like, what was the point? Like, they should have done 2
it seems like
strategies.
they made their bet in the fact that there's gonna be a red flag.
Yeah,
it seemed, and once they were committed, they're like, no, we're not gonna change. But I don't know.
I mean, they just kind of sat there.
What was this is off topic, I guess, but what was him and James Vowles yelling at each other about? Does anybody know?
I don't actually
I have
know.
no idea, but the memes that have come from that's
what I'm saying. I've seen a million of them.
They're so good. I mean, it's like, I'm sure it was something to do with the fact that Alex and Carlos were backing up backing up George and Kimmy like the whole race. Which is funny.
They were gonna do that. They had to know.
They had to. But I think it's funny because obviously George had that, and we talked about it. He had that incident where he just goes straight through. And he came on the radio and he was like, "Fuck it, like this is what I'm doing. Like we're just gonna get past it. I can't sit behind Alex for another gajillion laps."
Literally.
So he goes through and he gets a penalty, and obviously part of the reason he got a drive-through penalty and not like 5 or 10 seconds was he said that on the radio, and I was like, George, shoot yourself in the foot. Why don't you? But it was funny because he got that penalty and he got a drive-through penalty. And he made a comment about him and Alex were planning to go to dinner, and he was like, "Oh, I'll have Alex pick up the bill in exchange." So Alex comes on the post and says, "I'll take you to a drive-through," like talking about the penalty. And then they posted a photo of Alex picking up the bill at the restaurant they went to, which I thought was really funny.
There you go.
But yeah, it's like, I think part of it was just like that kind of like almost friendly banter of like, what the fuck, man? Like, I couldn't do anything in this race because you just backed me up into the rest of the pack.
If that ain't Monaco, I don't know what is.
Yeah. That was the name of the game, though. I mean, there were double points for Racing Bulls and double points for Williams. They got it because of that. Like, that was exclusively what they did. I mean, they had their chance and they took it. And barring like a weird safety car red flag towards the end, they were guaranteed points that way. So like, why wouldn't they take it? You know, like if Toto Wolff and James Vowles were in the opposite shoes,
literally.
So I mean,
Toto was just mad that he didn't have the position that James did. That's literally it.
Yeah. I do want to talk about it. I give McLaren a lot of shit for their strategy sometimes and their or lack thereof. They did a really decent job. No screw ups. They kind of they took no risks, which I think was smart because I will die on this hill. Max could have been third had he pitted at the right time because there were several moments where he was 19 point something seconds from Oscar, and had they had a perfect pit stop, they would have come out neck and neck out of the pits.
Yeah.
And Max is Max. Max would have just they'd come out of the pits and Max would have just sent it balls to the wall. And I think he would have made it stick because Oscar would be like, why? I'm not gonna crash with this guy, I'll just take the fourth.
Literally.
Yeah.
But they kind of just McLaren took no risk. Red Bull was same kind of deal where they pitted when they wanted to, and then at the end they were like, well, unless there's a safety car, we're going to be fourth anyways. So might as well just stick it out and see if someone crashes into each other. Max did his job for his Verstappen friendship.
I was going to
and
say.
backed up Lando into Charles. Charles was funny in the cool down room. Charles was like, man, you were so slow in X section. I don't remember where. And Lando was like, yeah, because Max was slow in front of me. There was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
He was so pissed off. He was like, dude, leave me alone. Because I mean, it was 100%. It was well, if I can't win this race, I just want to make sure that Lando doesn't win this race.
Yeah.
That was 100% Max and Red Bull's mentality. It was
the
longer I sit here in front of Lando, the higher the probability that one of them makes a mistake or they try and overtake each other and it fails and I end up winning the race. That was the mentality, 100%. So
I'll give it a Red Bull. They tried, but
They gave it their best.
Monaco, baby.
what I don't get was why Yuki didn't crash. Okay, Crashgate's terrible, I know, but realistically, could I just let Yuki and Lance Stroll? Nobody would have guessed it. No, nobody would have second guessed it. It was Yuki and Lance. Have them crash into each other. Safety car, red flag, whatever. Max wins the race.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking, people. Don't take that seriously. Please don't clip that. As if I don't
HR would
make
like
the
to have
clips
a word.
ourselves, but
I was gonna say.
I clip that. But no, I'm joking. But seriously, nobody would have second guessed it.
No.
So
I wouldn't have.
You're right.
it's oh my god, Yuki Tsunoda crashed again. Shocker. Same with Lance. So it's
Yeah.
anyways, I feel that's almost all of it. Oh, Alonso still hasn't scored points.
Still hasn't scored points, but was it his fault this weekend?
No.
I mean,
Not really.
so.
Not really. I mean, several weekends it hasn't been his fault. He put the car in an excellent position to score points, and he was starting sixth for qualifying. So it's not necessarily that it wasn't his fault. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah.
No.
It is crazy how much Lance Stroll is outscoring him at the moment.
I know,
currently.
right?
Currently,
it's
yeah.
insane.
I think he's out-qualified him every race almost.
A couple races, yeah, and then Aston Martin has 14 points. They're all from Lance Stroll. So,
And
14
what
to
Lance Stroll's
0.
number? 14?
Now, this was Fernando's big weekend to change that, but,
Yeah.
he was going to start P7, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sixth. Well, he qualified seventh, started sixth because of Lewis's penalty. And I thought, okay, this is perfect. He's starting sixth. I have him on my fantasy team, so I was like, this is brilliant. Unfortunately, the Alonso curse strikes again. I was half expecting him to pull Kimi Räikkönen and walk onto someone's yacht.
That
It was late in the race, though, wasn't it?
And I was
I thought it was
a couple
fairly
laps
early.
in.
Yeah.
36 laps. It was 36 laps.
Really? Was it that long in? I thought it was
I guess
10.
Kind of halfway, I guess.
Ish, yeah.
Ish. Almost.
Yeah, almost halfway. But it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad for him. It sucks.
It does.
But I think it's
Stroll
funny.
just
I don't
needs to
know.
retire, man.
Were you watching, Steven, were you watching Matt and Tommy?
Yeah.
Did you hear Tommy say not 30 seconds before Alonso?
I didn't catch him saying it, but I saw the aftermath, and he was so mad.
Not 30 seconds after before Alonso crashed. Matt and Tommy was talking. He was saying, and now we wait for the next 30 something, 40 laps, whatever, to find out how Alonso doesn't finish the race. Because of course the point scoring continues. 30 seconds later, Alonso crashes out.
Incredible
so
stuff.
It was so
He was
perfectly
so
timed.
mad.
And it's funny because when I watched, they posted a clip of it, and when I watched the clip on Instagram, I thought for sure they were like exaggerating the 30 seconds, but like truly it was seconds. Like it was not more than a minute between when he said it and when Alonso crashed. So it was just like funny. But the championship continues. Oscar's only leading by like 3 points, obviously with Lando's win in Monaco, which of course got to give him credit for. The one thing I will say on my behalf is that I think Red Bull and Max they've been really good with maximizing what they have. So they're 22 points behind. I mean, Max is 22 points behind Oscar. Constructors is out the window for everyone. The gap is ridiculous. There's 319 for McLaren. Second is Mercedes with 147. So
that's wrapped up.
That's wrapped up. That one's going to the end. But if Red Bull can turn it around just a little bit, it's not that you need like a ridiculous amount more of pace, but enough to be able to defend, because Max is still getting consistent third, fourth, fifth positions with the car he has. So I think they're still in a decent position. So no one count out Max Verstappen.
I'm not counting anything out until I really do think this is going to be a 3-person championship race come Abu Dhabi. Like, I really do.
I don't think so.
I think the sport needs it because 2021 was so freaking awesome that it would be awesome if we can come down to Abu Dhabi with at least a 2-person race for the championship, hopefully a 3-person. I kind of live for the Cars movie script. I think it'd be awesome if it was the rookie, the runner-up, and the championship, or the champion all racing for it. Because it is exactly what they are. It's, But, that's kind of, I don't know. I understand. I don't think it's going to turn into a 3-person, but I would love it. If you disagree, say it. But I think we're all on the same page. We think a 3-person championship at Abu Dhabi would be sick.
It would.
No one's going to disagree. It wouldn't be sick. It's impossible. It's never going to happen. And I say that because at some point, like if it was like, for an example, if it was Charles in the Ferrari versus Lando in the McLaren and Max in the Red Bull, sure, you could have a 3-person fight to the end. But the fact that it's McLaren, Red Bull means that if Max is still that close come that late in the year, McLaren's going to favor someone. And it sucks.
Probably.
If they don't do it and they lose the championship to Max for it, they'll be clowned forever. Like they will never earn the respect of their fans or any fans in the sport for that matter. If McLaren did that, it would be atrocious. But with that said, that's my point of being like, okay, if Oscar continues his lead and he's 30 points ahead come this like Las Vegas, they're going to put him in front. They're going to give him the optimum strategy. They're going to have Lando back up into Max. Like they're going to do everything they can to ensure that it's Oscar taking the win, even if that means Lando's going to come in third. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you're too technical for Marina. I just want to sit in my leather chair and say, have at it, boys. Go race. That's all I want.
But that's the NASCAR fan in you. Like, that's it's like the let's just go racing.
It's more fun.
It is more fun. I would love to like sit here and be naive and say that that's what's going to happen. But like realistically, F1 is like, it's one of those things where like you win half of the race on the track and the other half off the track with the engineers that come part of your team and then your teammate. And like Monaco is the epic teammate game. Like couple laps to the end, Max is backing up Lando into Charles, and Lando's on the radio like, where the fuck is Oscar? Like, I need help. It is. It's the ultimate team game. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I'm excited for it though.
I think
as long as it's close, it can just be close at the end.
Regardless, I think it'll be close to the end because I doubt Oscar or Orlando will run away with it within a team perspective. So at the very least, you'll have Lando versus Oscar, I think, maybe not till the last race, but for sure for a long time. I don't think it's one that's going to wrap up early like we've seen Max wrap up in Japan or Las Vegas or whatever. I think even in a year like last year where Max didn't have the best car for a long time in the later half of the season, he's consistent enough to wrap it up early. I don't see that particularly happening because both of their drivers are pretty consistent. So we shall see. Next week. because we're back in Barcelona. So,
Indeed.
predictions
España, baby.
for the final Barcelona race ever, which is so sad.
Tier.
Final Barcelona
Tier.
race. Will there be a Spaniard on the podium?
I don't think
say
so.
no. Honestly, Sainz
By
is the
this
only
track
one with a
record,
chance.
no.
Huh?
With the track record of Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz,
Sainz is the only one with a realistic chance, but his chances aren't even real though. So it's like,
yeah.
I would say there's more of a chance of Albon being on the podium than Carlos.
Yeah, that's also true.
But I would for sure put Williams' podium on my bingo card for the year.
I'll do a bonus pick then with my top 3. So you'll be ready for that. I'm gonna have in my top 3. I don't think McLaren's gonna let their foot off the gas, but I'm gonna have a flip flop. Oscar winning. I have Oscar P1, Lando P2. I think a lot of confidence is going Lando's way, so I think he's going to be even more consistent now. Because you know how he was like he would get P3 instead of P2, like stuff like that. I think a P2 is in order, and I kind of want to see this. I see Max hanging on to the bitter end, so I'm going to have him P3. Like I really don't see him letting off the foot either. But as my bonus pick, Carlos Sainz P4. That's my bonus pick. I'm going to see if that Spaniard can sneak his way into the top 5.
So close. Close but no cigar.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm going for.
Okay. I like it.
That. I
like it.
It's a basic top 3, I know, but it's what we got to work with. So
yes, this is 2025 F1.
Steven.
Yeah. You see, I want to say Oscar wins, but something within me is saying Lando's going to win.
You go back to back.
Yeah. I think Lando wins. I think Oscar gets P2. Now, P3 is where things get interesting for me, because I don't think Max will get P3. I think, personally, it'll either be... I don't think they'll maybe necessarily be 4 or 3rd, but I think it would either be George or Charles, personally. I'm leaning towards George just because Mercedes had such a bad weekend.
Yeah, they might rebound.
I just think George is going to come back. I think they're going to have a great weekend. Yeah, I think George P3.
Okay, fair enough.
It's funny you say that because I think because of such the bad weekend from Monaco, I think I'm like that. My bonus pick would be George for 4th. There's something in me, and granted, we have never gotten a top 3 right ever in almost 2 years of this podcast. So it could be totally off base. But something in me wants to say Max is going to win. He's really consistent around. He's done well around Barcelona in the past. It was his first win was in Barcelona. So I'm going to go Max. And then so tough. It's the 2 McLaren boys, but the question is, which one do you put first?
Which way? Yeah.
Which way do you do it? I think Lando and then Oscar, but in qualifying, I think Oscar will take the cake in the race, and Lando will take the cake. Here we go. Right. So my top 3 in the race is Max, Oscar, Lando, but in qualifying. It's some variation of Lando then Oscar, whether that be pole and second or second and third or whatever.
Do you think will be close? Like, will the top 3 be close?
Oh yeah, I think it'll be really close. Okay. I think Max will be he'll win by the skin of his teeth. Because it's tough. Like on a real racing circuit like Barcelona, anything but Monaco really, or like Baku. It's tough. For Max to defend against the speed of the McLarens, it's close to impossible. The question is, I think the saving grace is, like I said, for the championship purposes too, those McLarens are fighting against each other just as much as they are fighting against Max. So if Max can just kind of pull a second or 2 ahead and kind of break the DRS in the race, it falls on whoever is ahead, which McLaren's ahead, to kind of defend from his teammate. So I think that's kind of what will be the case for a majority of the season, whether it be Max leading or not. Those 2 are going to fight each other. So we shall see. But that I think is a wrap.
I believe so. I think we crossed all our T's and dotted our I's.
for the
Mhm.
greatest weekend in motorsports. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. Was not the greatest weekend in motorsports, in my opinion, this year.
I was gonna say I
No,
don't think
not
so
this
either.
But here's hoping the last leg of this triple header in Barcelona is better.
Yes.
Stay tuned to find out on the broadcast, but also for us next
Yeah.
Monday ? As I've started saying now, Monday at some point. But in the meantime, stay tuned on our socials at Lights Latest on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Peace.